In this lesson, we're going to discuss some of the inner workings of how functions work in C++, and we're going to talk about pass-by-value parameters. And to do that, let me demonstrate that with a very simple function. Here's the square function that we looked at the beginning of this section on functions. And we know the definition simply takes one parameter and returns the parameter times itself. Let's look at a program that calls this function. Let me add a little now let's do it like this. Sorry. There we go. So let's run this program. So 2 squared is 4, and then we go back and display the original number, which is 2. What happens when you call a function is you pass a value to the function. In this case, we're passing number. When we do that, we do something called PassByValue, which means that the compiler makes a copy of the value that's stored in number and replaces the parameter with that value. Which means that no matter what happens, the value that's passed to the function does not get changed. So number always stays 2 even though we square it in the function right here. Notice we don't assign it back to number. It just simply, the number gets passed, number. It's mapped in, that's the technical term, to the parameter n. We square in, and then we return that squared value to right here, but the value of number never changes. Here's another example that will just show that even better. So here we're going to write a function called assign. We're going to call it assign to get it where it's a little different. Oops, hang on, I have a little trouble typing here. Okay. I'm just going to delete this other. Now I'll comment it out in case you want to look at it later. All right, so assigned takes a value and assigns it to the original variable. So we're going to say int number equals 1. Okay. Then we're going to say assigned number 2. Now let's do this. Cout number. No, let's do it like this. Sorry. Numbers value going in. We call assigned, which will display the new value. And then we're going to display numbers value after we call the function. So let's take a look at what happens. Whoops, I left out an end-L right here. Let's add that in. Never, whoops, don't need 2 semicolons. Here we go. So, number is 1. Inside assigned, num, which is actually number, gets the value 2. But then when we come back out, number gets the value 1. So what we're demonstrating is that the pass-by-value nature of C++ means that when you pass a parameter, when you pass an argument to a function, the argument is passed by value, or a copy is made. And then when you get back to the original program, the compiler goes back and finds the original value of number stored in the variable at that memory address, and not the copy that it made to the variable. Let's look at one last example, and this will clear everything up. So here we've performed a swap of two values. Let's move the comment down. We're going to cover this again later. Oops. Let's move this one more. Hang on. Get rid of it there and assign it right there. Okay, so int num1 equals 2, int num2 equals 3 or 4, doesn't really matter. Oops, sorry about that. Oops. Hang on. There we go. Display the values. Call swap. Then display the values again. We expect them to change based on what happens inside swap, but watch what happens when we actually run the program. Nothing changes. That is because we're passing by value, which means we're simply passing copies, and when we come back to the original program, the original values of num1 and num2 are the same. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about how to modify that using something called reference parameters. But for now, that wraps up this lesson on PassByValue.